Hey, what's up? Welcome to the channel. I'm just some guy. And what do you do? I'm going to give you a moment to think about it and tell me in the comment sections what it is that you do. You at home. And in the meantime, if you're new here, welcome, welcome. If you're not new here, well, welcome back. So, did you just go to tell me what your job is? Is that what we decided here? Because, in my opinion, when you meet somebody brand new, the probably biggest question that you're going to ask them is, well, what do you do? If you're meeting somebody at the bar, let's say you're out having a drink and you're sitting next to somebody, a cute girl or a cute guy, if that's your jam, chances are you're going to say, so, what do you do? If you're at a party and you're introduced to some of your friends' friends and you sit down, you're going to go, hey, so, what's your name? Oh, okay, cool. Hey, what's up? Like, so what do you do? Now, one of the things that I find a lot is that the go-to answer for that is going to be, well, I work at X, Y, and Z. Because when we think about what it is that we do, well, we work. And that's the easiest thing to come to. We're not going to say, oh, well, I make music, or, well, I watch anime, or, I like to work out, or, I like to take walks in the afternoon. I like to crochet. I like to knit. I like to do blacksmithing. I'm a marathon runner. Now, don't get me wrong. Somebody's going to come into the comment section and say, well, that is what I start off with. I always tell people what my hobbies are. But I think that we as a people have conditioned ourselves to go, I am my job. Now, for me, if I were to do that, which I don't typically, I would say, oh, well, I work in IT. That's what I do, and it's really disappointing that we as a people tie so much of our self-worth and so much of our being into our jobs. And realistically, while a job is what you do in order to survive and make money and eat and put a roof over your head and all of that stuff, is that how you want people to see you? Because I feel like when you answer that way, and typically, if I go, oh, this is my job, it is whatever, that's almost like a defense mechanism. Because, while, yeah, you're going to be able to, kind of conversate off of that, it'll be able to lead you to some branching conversational routes where it's like, oh, you work in IT? That's really cool. I also work in IT. Fantastic. Like, what type of IT? But then you're going down the work route. And I can see why some people, if you're meeting somebody new, especially, if, let's say you have a good paying job and it's something that you want to subconsciously tell people, oh, well, I work in this, I work in finance or something along those lines. It's kind of one of those types of things, right? But one thing that I find is that when I ask somebody who, let's say, doesn't have a lucrative job, somebody who works in retail, somebody who works at Walmart, when you go, hey, what do you do? A lot of times those people will actually tell me what they do. They're like, oh, I'm into foam fighting or LARPing or, something like that. Yeah, I'm a furry, much like most retail workers. Actually, that's not true. Most IT workers are the furries because they're the only ones who can afford the $30,000 for the fursuits. I'm sorry, retail employees. I used to be a retail employee. I don't want you all to think that I think that you're furries. So, not that there is some stuff wrong with that, but, we'll save that for another video. But I think that we as a people have moved away from interesting things, right? Because if somebody comes to me and the first thing that they right off the rip, they're like, I am my job. it changes the dynamic of the conversation versus if somebody says, "Oh, well, I make music." And it's like, "Oh, that's cool. Like, do you do that for a job or for a hobby?" Now I have different branching paths here in the conversation. I also think that we as a people have lost the ability for robust conversation because we've been so isolated, because everything's online, because we don't get out and touch grass. As you can see, I'm outside today. I don't have any grass near me, or else I would touch it. It's on the other side of the camera. I apologize. But I will touch that grass after this video. Much like you should go outside today if it's nice where you're at, and also touch some grass. But we're moving away. We've lost the ability for conversation, and a lot of times, like I said earlier, to reiterate, we have become our job. And I think that one of the things that you can do to take a step forward, and this is also something too, to kind of break up the monotony of conversations, because every time you ask somebody, "Hey, what do you do?" it's usually their job, right? But let's say we're talking, right? We're out at some, like, let's say an anime con or something like that, because that's most likely where I would be at. If you ask me what I do, well, I'm a YouTuber. Yeah, I make YouTube videos. And they'll be like, "Well, is like as a job, like, or is a hobby?" I'd be like, "Well, I can then go into the fact that I make videos talking about my struggles with mental health, my weight loss, just things in general. And while I'm not very big at the moment, maybe in the future I do it a lot for fun, and I've been learning a lot about it." And then that can branch off into a much bigger conversation, right? Especially depending on where it is. But like if I'm at, an anime con again, and they go, "Oh, what do you do?" I'm like, that guy from Office Space, the one that like goes to the customer and gets the requirements and then takes it to the other dude. Yeah, that's basically me. Although that one actually might not be bad, because then we could talk about Office Space, because most people have watched Office Space. But I think that the long story short is that so many people are into this NPC mindset where it's like, these are the approved things that I can have in a conversation. I am my job. I don't have hobbies. And I think that the other thing too is like, even if let's say you move away from the "what do you do" question, another big question that comes up in conversation is, okay, well, we talked about your job. Now, what do you do for fun? Nothing. Well, okay, end of conversation. You're boring, and or it's like, okay, well, like, what do you do for fun? What do you find interesting? And they'll just be like, "Nothing," or like, "I don't know, I watch TV." But I think that more people are more interesting than they give themselves credit for. And I also think that when it comes down to like, what do you do for fun, right? Or like, what do you find interesting? I think that we don't find the things that we do on a normal basis as interesting as other people might find the things that we do interesting. Because to us, this is just something that we do on a regular basis, right? Like, if you had to think of something that you do for fun right now that's not watch TV or play video games, and even if you say I play video games, that's at least better than nothing. I've never understood that. Like, I go on dating sites and stuff like that, right? And you match with somebody, you have like a very brief conversation, and it's like, here's my small talk, like, what do you do for fun? They're like, I just don't really do anything. And it's like, oh, okay, well, that's boring, unmatched. Like, why would I want to be bored with somebody who is boring? And I think that, realizing that some of the things that you do are more interesting than you give yourself credit for gives you things to talk about. It also obviously depends on both sides of the conversation, but one of the things that I've learned over the years is I might not be interested in your obsession with model trains, but listening to somebody gush over a thing that they are excessively interested in is really, really cool. Like, I love listening to people just go ham about things that they're really interested in, and it always disappoints me when somebody apologizes for doing that, because, you know, they probably ran into people in the past that, you know, aren't as, you know, as into that as I am, and, you know, people have probably told them to shut up. Like, I don't care about model trains. But, like, the thing is, it's like, does it matter? Like, does it matter if you're really into model trains? Like, if you even remotely care about the other person, you know, then just listen to them talk. Like, sometimes people just want to talk and they just want somebody to listen to them talk, right? You know, that's why, like, I really like some of the really long comments in my comment section. People sometimes will apologize for writing, like, you know, 10 pages or whatever. And I'm like, dude, don't apologize. Don't ever apologize for wanting to go above and beyond. And I think that, to circle all the way back to the beginning, is that sometimes, especially throughout life, right, you know, you'll have people that'll just bring this stuff up as like small talk, you know, and then they really don't care about what you do for fun. It really depends on like the situation and the context. But I think that even if they're just doing it just to make small talk or whatever, live your best life. Talk about whatever you want to talk about. Don't be your job. Be more than your job. Unless you really like your job, in which case that's cool. You know, just talk about whatever actually makes you happy. Like, be the person that you want to be at the end of the day. And I was fine too that, like, if you're super positive in a conversation, like, and you're just having a good time and you're just going off the cuff talking about stuff, like, that's going to be very infectious, right? You know, and I think that that is a big thing, but it really boils down to, how do you approach the question, so what do you do? And I think that's a good thing to think about. And I also think, if you made it this far in the video, it costs nothing to subscribe. It's a really nice day outside, so I'm going to end this here, and I'm just going to sit here on the porch, and the, you know, for the front porch here, take in the weather and the sunshine, which is, you know, right over here, obviously, you can tell. Yeah, and I'm going to enjoy the day, and I look forward to seeing your comments, and, you know, if you know anybody who could benefit from this video, share it out to them. I would really appreciate that. And as always, if you guys do like this content, like, favorite, subscribe, comment down below, and if you dislike it, I really don't care. But I will see you tomorrow on the next video. Take it easy, homies. Peace out.